Edgar,
Ashley Tolner,
and Megan Druitt, and we're bringing you this Unit 3 podcast to inform you about social contagion, which, according to Greenberg, is the ideas, feelings, and behaviors that seem to spread among people like wildfires. There are two subtypes of social contagion, behavioral and emotional. Behavioral contagion includes laughs, yawns, and applause, while emotional contagion includes things like moods, goals, and depression. Moving into our first study, we're going to discuss behavioral contagion. Like we mentioned earlier, this involves behaviors that spread from one person to another. The most well-known example of this is yawning. However, it has been linked to something a little more alarming, mass psychogenic illness. In a study by Ditto and his colleagues, they looked at how participants behaved after seeing blood donors being treated for vasovagal symptoms, which are symptoms like fainting and throwing up after giving blood. They found that people who witnessed others being treated for these symptoms also experienced similar vasovagal symptoms.
I didn't realize that last time I gave blood and I saw someone else throwing up, that it made me throw up, that was social contagion.
Yeah, although that example doesn't specifically apply to me, I've noticed when I yawn in the classroom, someone beside me yawns and it kind of trickles out.
Yeah, you see another person yawn and another person next to them yawns.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of the classroom one, we talked about something in our class about a gas leak that happened in a different school. One teacher said that she had symptoms from the gas leak, and then a bunch of other people continued saying that they had the same symptoms, but then there wasn't even a gas leak.
So is that an example of mass psychogenic illness?
Yeah, and more specifically, it's an example of behavioral contagion because it deals with behaviors rather than emotions.
Which is actually what we're going to talk about next.
The second study focuses on emotional contagion. This phenomenon occurs when different moods and feelings are transferred from person to person. The study by Gump and Kulik on stress, affiliation, and emotional contagion found that when participants were around someone who was displaying feelings of being miserable, the participant was significantly more likely to feel those negative feelings as well. They also discovered that the presence of a physical threat increased chances of emotional contagion. More importantly, they found that the likelihood of emotional contagion is even stronger when people believe they are facing the same physical threat as their affiliate. The researchers discovered this by having the participants listen to a recorded threat. However, the threat may or may not have been the same as the one that their affiliate heard.
So if the threat that each person heard was not the same, did emotional contagion still occur?
Yeah, it did, just not as significantly. But another thing they found was that the participants demonstrated facial expression mimicry.
Oh, that's like the chameleon effect that we talked about in class, where people subconsciously imitate nonverbal cues of the people around them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But that sounds more like behavioral contagion, so I wonder if emotional contagion happens just as often. What do you think?
This study doesn't go into the details about frequency, but I would guess it happens more often than you realize.
The first two studies looked at social contagion that occurs in face-to-face interactions. Contrary to popular belief, though, new studies have shown that social contagion happens without face-to-face interactions. The next two studies we're going to discuss explored social contagion that happens non-verbally. More specifically, Ferrara and Yang did a study where they measured social contagion via social media. They found that when presented with negative stimuli, Twitter users were more likely to post negative tweets. They also found that when presented with positive stimuli, users were more likely to post positive tweets.
Okay, yeah, because recently my Twitter feed has been a bunch of negative comments about the election.
I don't think it's only limited to Twitter either, because I've definitely noticed the same thing on my Facebook and Instagram accounts.
Yeah, same here.
Do you think the negative posts are contributing to daily moods, or do you think it's just being left in the social media world?
I'm not sure, but based on personal experience, I would say that it probably does have an effect on your mood in real life. I know these negative election posts have really kind of dampened my day, rain on my parade.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely let my social media accounts affect me some days by people's comments or what other people post.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think even if you don't realize that it's affecting your mood, it actually is.
I also wonder if people react more to positive or negative stimuli.
It's funny you should ask that, because our next study addresses that question. Although results from the last study showed social contagion in both positive and negative feelings, the current study looked specifically at which feelings had stronger ties to social contagion. Fan and his colleagues found that anger is more contagious than joy, so that explains why your Twitter feed might seem angry some days. Along with that, they found that Twitter users were more likely to repost an angry tweet originally posted by someone they did not know very well than they would a joyful tweet by that same person. This implies that anger prefers weaker ties than joy.
So why do you think anger spreads more than joy?
The study actually addressed that. It said that anger is a form of venting, so when they let out those negative feelings, they feel more relaxed.
Oh, that's what we talked about in class. It's not always a good thing, but it depends.
In this situation, I don't feel like it's a good thing because like we talked about in the last study, more negative content on the internet means more people are going to see it and react negatively. So in the end, it's just a vicious cycle.
So what you're saying is these negative posts can lead to emotional contagion, possibly causing other people to express their anger through aggressive behaviors, which then could become contagious.
Maybe so. It's not all bad, though. You can't forget about the positives. It just depends.
That concludes our stopwatch segment. Hope you enjoyed it.